Would this plan be less expensive for cities and towns and employers in the state, or is that part of why they're trying to do it? Or?
The big efficiency of a pension plan is the larger you have it, the more diversification you have and the less risk. Once you start making responsibility down towards individuals, your costs increase significantly, particularly on the defined contributions, because they tend to people's accounts are cashed out when they die, and in the other situation, that money stays in the system to help support other retirees. So the defined contribution is much more expensive than defined benefit.
Not only that, what you're trying to do is operate two different plans at the same time. You first have a plan that's 41%, 41% underfunded, and you have to pay off that obligation of multiple billions of dollars. And now you're trying to set up a new plan and get people started. At some point in time, according to the actuaries' projections, you're going to have more people that are retired and more people in defined contribution plan, but you're still going to owe a major portion of what you owe on the old system. You can't sustain two plans at once. According to the statistics that the actuary created, this system is going to, right out of the gate, underfund by hundreds of millions of dollars. And one of the projections is when you reach that 10-year point, you're going to be looking at over $1.2 billion in underfunding.
Right. Right. Talk to me a little bit more about that $1.2 billion figure. Why is it that cost increase happens?
Well, the big reason, just like he said, when you're trying to run two plans concurrently, it is starving one plan. So what they're going to do is every new hire that comes through the door on July 1st, beginning July 1st, will go into a different plan. It will starve the $5.9 billion plan, the defined benefit. It will not put any new money into it. And of course, we talked about earlier in the show that 75% of that fund is return on investment. If you don't have the investments going in, if you don't have new money coming in, you're going to get less back. We've seen that the individual accounts, the 401Hs in this case, have consistently underperformed the defined benefit plans. They're more costly to the individual to administer, and really the only people that make out on it are the same people that caused the banking collapses of the last 2 years.
You got to see these guys. I mean, they come in with their Mont Blanc pens in their pocket and their Rolex watches and their rich ties and all that kind of stuff, and you look at it and you think, we're paying for that. Financial people are enormously expensive. The more you have and the more changes you make and all of that, it's going to be tough.
Right. Two other pitfalls of the DC plan is, first, when you invest in that type of plan, you have to have lower risk because you can't accept the volatility of the last two recessions, which means that you have to use a lower rate of return. So right now in the defined benefit plan, you might accumulate $250,000 and get a benefit of, and I'm looking at the statistics in front of me from a financial planner, of $18,000. But the problem is you have to have a lower rate of return, which means you have to accumulate not $450,000, now you have to accumulate $600,000 to get that same benefit. Because the assumed rate of return for the retirement system is 7.75%. They would recommend 6.75%, 5%. Once you reach age 60, 65, they probably would look at something between 4 and 6%. And so lower returns on your investments, accumulate more money. So when this bill came out, the first thing it does is it causes people to spike. The second thing is that in 10 years, you will have two conflicting groups. You will have the DC plan that says, take care of me, and you'll have the other 70,000 people that say, no, take care of me. And you have two polarized people needing money to pay for their retirement.
And put that out on the public safety jobs. Who goes in the door? The guy who's got a defined benefit or defined contribution? I mean, that's going to create forces in the workforce that I don't think New Hampshire really needs.
And in a cynical way, the legislators that are promoting this new plan really are undermining the whole system. So they're going to hurt the current employees that are been putting money into that system for last 30 years. They're going to hurt the employers by an increased cost to satisfy the unfunded liability of the defined benefit plan, and then put people into this more risky and less efficient defined contribution plan. So really what they're doing is hurting the plan, hurting the employees, and hurting the employers. It does nothing good.
Right. Well, it sounds like the bottom line is that New Hampshire can't afford this plan. Not the cities and towns, not the employees, and not the economy as a whole.
Even last year, when they passed the legislation, they underfunded the system by $100 million. And when you look at intended and unintended consequences, I think the legislature's goal is to underfund the system, to make it unstable. And then what do? They blame the teachers, they blame the police, they blame the fire, they blame the trustees, saying it's your fault, when they created the system and they keep manipulating it to underfund it.
And so what we would ask the legislators is to slow down, let some of the changes that were made in the last 4 years work, and in 26 years we'll be fully funded, and it will be a more efficient and a beneficial plan for the state of New Hampshire.
You know, it really comes up as to whether you have confidence in the state of New Hampshire and the American economy to recover. And if you do have that confidence, then let's not panic. You know, let's continue slow, prudent investing. If you don't have that confidence, I guess you do what the legislature is doing: panic, run around and shout, make changes to look good. But I think people in the state of New Hampshire know better than that.
Absolutely. Well, this is a really important issue, gentlemen. I want to thank you for coming and spending some time here with us. And I hope that this was informative for folks at home. And again, this is a really important issue, one that unfortunately too few people have a good understanding of. And as I think our guests here have done a good job of outlining, it impacts not only employees, but employers, cities and towns, the New Hampshire economy as a whole. So if you'd like to find out more information about the New Hampshire retirement system, about some of these current proposals, please visit NewHampshireRetirementFacts.com. And please consider calling your legislator, writing to your local paper, getting involved, because again, this is a really important issue. But thanks for spending time with us this evening.